Okay, so today we're taking a deep dive into chapter 2 of Zephaniah.
Right. And it jumps straight in, doesn't it? No easing into things here.
Not at all. It opens with this really intense command: gather together, gather together.
Yeah, aimed at a shameful nation. And right alongside that is this stark warning.
About an appointed time coming.
Exactly. The day of the Lord's wrath. It says it's sweeping in like chaff. It definitely sets a serious tone right from the get-go.
It really does. A big warning of judgment. But, amidst all that heaviness, there's also this hint of potential shelter.
Mm-hmm. It shifts focus a bit to the humble of the land.
The ones already trying to follow the rules, so to speak.
Right. The instruction is pretty direct. Seek the Lord, seek righteousness, seek humility.
And it's not a guarantee, is it? I noticed the word perhaps.
That's crucial. Perhaps you will be sheltered on the day of the Lord's anger.
Yeah.
It links shelter to that act of seeking righteousness, seeking humility. But yeah, just perhaps.
So it's about your inner state, your seeking, not just outward actions.
Okay, so after that call, the text moves pretty quickly into specific judgments.
It does. It starts listing out consequences for different peoples, different regions. It paints this picture of widespread accountability.
Where does it start?
With the Philistine cities. It lists them out. Gaza will be abandoned, Ashkelon ruined, Ashdod emptied, Ekron uprooted. Total devastation along the coast.
The land of the Karatites and Philistines. Destroyed, none left, it says.
Complete destruction. But then there's a twist.
Oh, what happens to that land?
It doesn't just stay empty. The text says it becomes pasture land, places for the remnant of the house of Judah to live.
Ah, so the judgment on one group makes space for another group's survival, their inheritance.
Precisely. That pattern judgment leading to inheritance for this remnant, it seems really important.
Does that pattern show up again?
It does. It moves over to Moab and Ammon, east of Judah.
Okay, and is there a specific reason given for their judgment? Yes, the text is very explicit here. It's because of their pride, their insults, their threats against the Lord's people.
Pride and mocking again. And their fate.
Pretty grim. It says they'll become like Sodom and Gomorrah, just wasteland, weeds, salt pits, forever.
Wow. Sodom and Gomorrah, that's intense imagery.
It is. And just like with Philistia, the source says the remnant of Judah will plunder them and possess their land.
So again, inheritance follows judgment. And it directly connects it back to their pride.
Directly. It says, this is what they will get in return for their pride, for insulting and mocking the people of the Lord Almighty.
Okay, so pride versus humility is definitely a running theme. Any other judgments mentioned?
There's a brief mention of the Cushites, further south, just says they'll be slain by my sword. Shows the scope, I guess.
And then it swings way up north, right? To the big power, Assyria.
Yeah, and specifically their capital, Nineveh. The text describes God's hand stretching out against the north, destroying Assyria.
Leaving Nineveh how?
Utterly desolate and dry as the desert. It gives these really vivid images, flocks lying down in the ruins, owls hooting from the pillars, rubble everywhere, exposed beams, just total ruin.
It makes you picture this great city completely fallen. And wasn't Nineveh described as feeling pretty secure beforehand?
Oh, absolutely. That's a key part. The text quotes Nineveh's own attitude, its self-perception. This is the carefree city that lived in safety.
Okay.
And then this line. She said to herself, I am, and there is none besides me.
I am, and there is none besides me. That's quite a statement. Ultimate self-reliance, maybe arrogance.
Exactly. And the contrast with its actual fate is just crushing.
What does it say?
What a ruin she has become, a lair for wild beasts, and people passing by just scoff and shake their fist. This ultimate city reduced to nothing, mocked.
Such a powerful contrast. So we have these specific judgments: Philistia, Moab, Ammon, Cush, Assyria. Is there a bigger picture reason given for all this?
Yes, the text kind of zooms out again. It connects these actions to a larger purpose. The Lord will be awesome to them when he destroys all the gods of the land. So these judgments are also about dismantling false objects of trust, false gods, whether that's military power or national pride.
Tearing down idols, essentially. And what's the intended result of all that?
Universal recognition. It says, the nations on every shore will worship him, every one in its own land. Judgment clears the way for true worship.
So looking back over the chapter, you see these nations confident, proud, mocking, facing ruin. And then you have this call to the humble to seek God, seek righteousness, with this possibility of shelter, of becoming the remnant that inherits.
It's a very clear contrast. That feeling of being secure, saying, I am, and there's none besides me, like Nineveh did, The text shows that leads directly to desolation.
Whereas the path to survival, maybe even flourishing, lies in seeking humility, seeking dependence on God.
Exactly. The source draws a very sharp line.
It really does. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe something to think about is that story of Nineveh,
Yeah.
that city declaring, I am and there is none besides me. What does its fate, as described in this source, prompt you to consider about where you place your own confidence and security?